today it looks again very close, but in the meantime, of course, we've learned a few things. Among others, I've learned, for example, what $1 billion is, something I had no conception for in the early days.
Do you think?
We're not talking about one hungry plant here. We're talking about world conquest.
And I want to thank you.
You're not gonna get away with this. Your kind never does.
NASA's Big Moon rocket is back out on the pad at the Kennedy Space Center. This time-lapse video shows the rocket making its way back out there after 2 scrubs and return to shelter ahead of Hurricane Ian.
West 2 Scott Heidler is at Kennedy Space Center with the details on the Artemis 1 SLS rollout and when we might see that next launch attempt for the test mission.
We're going to do things my way, or we won't do things at all. You in trouble now.
Once the SLS is on the launch pad, the clock starts ticking on the certification of the flight termination system, which ensures if the rocket were to veer off course, it would detonate and not harm the public. A flight termination system, or FTS, is required on all rockets. The SLS was rolled out to Kennedy Space Center Launch Pad 39B on November 4th ahead of the latest launch attempt. Per the U.S. Space Force, the flight termination system batteries have a 25-day lifespan before those need to be replaced. NASA was granted a waiver in September to extend that deadline while the agency attempted to launch the rocket again, but due to Hurricane Ian, the SLS was rolled back into the vehicle assembly building.
Hydrogen leaks, especially the connection at the back of the rocket that leads to the fuel source.
But I think that's the number one thing that anybody's going to be concerned with moving forward. So far, the countdowns have been pretty smooth, other than the hydrogen issues.
This test flight will kick off a series of Artemis missions with the goal of setting up a permanent base on the moon, ultimately leading to astronauts exploring Mars.
Astronauts are always willing and able to take enormous personal risks, just like the brave men and women in uniform. This doesn't provide carte blanche for their superior officers to throw their lives away. This doesn't justify purposely building unsafe launch systems to gratify political or contractor expediency. It certainly doesn't build a legacy of steadily more routine, cheap, and safe access to space and a culture of exploration. There will always be a few brave souls willing to get on any rocket that points up. But we cannot regard ourselves as a serious space-faring nation if we run the space program like an exercise in Patagonian base jumping, which incidentally is safer and much cheaper.
I'm just a mean green mother from outer space, and I'm bad. Outer space. You know I don't come from no black lagoon. I'm past the stars and beyond the moon. Yeah. You can keep the thing, keep the it, keep the creature. They don't mean.
"17 NASA astronauts have died in space flight-related accidents, and a few others in training accidents.
When I say Earth is round, you're not being open-minded by saying, you know, I wonder if it could also be flat.